Hey folks, Jonathan here. Okay, since we got this engine running and all, we're going to try to get this transmission out and see what's wrong with it. I've already got the cross member out, got the engine jacked up, and taking out the drive shaft now. I've got one bolt left on the transmission itself, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about what I think they've done and how I think they've messed up. And they may not have. It may just need a slave cylinder and stuff, but I'm taking it out anyway because I don't like the whole situation. So, as you can see, the bell housing is separate from the transmission, unlike this new stuff. And it's my understanding that they pulled this out. And the only thing I can find, he said they was putting a clutch in it, but I don't think he put a clutch in it because the bell housing hasn't been off. I think what they were doing was putting a clutch fork in it, because there's a box inside the truck for a new clutch fork, but there's no clutch fork in it. So I think they put the new clutch fork in it, and they did not get it on the bearing right. When they went to slide this transmission in, it is a real pain in the behind. You're so much better off just going and pull the bell housing off, have it bolted to the transmission, have it on, and then put it on. As long as you got your clutch lined up fine, you can get it all in there. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pull it apart separate, but we're going to eventually put the take the bell housing off. We're going to check everything, check the clutch. I can look and see from up in the side, and I'll show you when we get there to see if the clutch is any good or not. Make sure that it's acceptable, got enough back on it. It's not a hard transmission to pull out, so I mean it's not like a big deal if you got to put a clutch in it. So that's the plan anyway. We're going to keep rolling at it here, and we're just going to take the U-joint loose at the front and then take the center support bearing loose, and then we'll just move the drive shaft out of the way, and then we're ready to come down. What we've got is a pan blocked up, but I've got, of course, boards up under it to keep from denting the pan. And you know, the sooner we get the weight off of it, the better off we are. And here comes Inspector General here. Do a CAT scan. So alright, let's get the drive shaft out of here. Alright folks, it don't look like it's off the fork, I don't think. It might be, but it's not off on this side. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get it the rest of the way out. But look at the collar where the throttle bearing rides. It don't look clean or anything, I don't know. So let's get it on out and see what we can find. Alright folks, I don't think that was the problem. I think possibly that this thing was just not bleeding out, and that's what their problem was. But either way, we're pulling this bell housing off, and now that I look at it, the bell housing may have been off. And I got some light up under here. It looks like the dial pin's a little shiny and all, so maybe they did put a new clutch in it. But I know they put a new fork. I didn't see any box or anything. I mean, it could have had a return on it. They might have took the rest of the stuff back, but I don't trust their work. So I mean, I don't even know who done the work, so don't get me wrong. It's not that I'm pinpointing any individual, but I don't trust the work, so I'm going to drop this thing down and slide the transmission back a little bit, and then we'll get that bell housing off, and we're going to check out that clutch first layout, throttle bearing, make sure they didn't put the clutch in backwards. That's been known to happen before, and that'll keep one from releasing. Believe it or not, I seen a guy do it on a Renault a long time ago. Put it in backwards, and then it forces itself in there, and then there's no releasing. So we're going to check it either way, so can't take a chance on that. And we're going to go ahead and order a slave cylinder with the line and the clutch master cylinder, the correct one for this truck. We're going to replace that stuff too. And like I said, I'm not running compression fittings on hydraulic hoses or hydraulic lines. It don't matter if they're just you know, the slave cylinder. It's still something that if you're at a stoplight and you got it pushed in, and then all of a sudden it pops out, you know, this thing, if you got it in granny gear, granny low, it's going to take off even at idle, and then you're going to be hitting the car in front of you. So we just don't need to take chances like that. So alright, let's get her on down and we'll get this thing apart. Another thing I wanted to add too, this is I'm assuming an ATV or maybe a four-wheeler lift. Somebody had given me a long time ago, and it works really well. Alright folks, so some of you may have noticed at one time this bumper guard, grill guard, brush guard, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, so this thing was at a fellow's house in Bass, North Carolina, and he told me this story about it. He said that this come off of like a 46 Chevrolet truck. He said when he was a kid, he remembered the truck being bought at a dealership, and the guy was a either a mobile mechanic or a welder or something, but he had a service bed put on the truck, and they sourced this for him through the dealership and put it on as an aftermarket piece. So it's not an original GM part, but I thought maybe it was a one-off part when I had got this thing. You know, maybe somebody had made it, or maybe the guy that had the truck made it or something. But after doing some research, I actually found one of these for sale, and it was actually, believe it or not, at a very expensive antique store in New York City, and they wanted a lot of money for it. But anyway, so I had tried to buy this thing for years, and you know, the guy's name was Hub Kimball, and he had a Kimball's Record Service, and about every time I'd see him, I'd ask him about it, and oh no, I don't want to get rid of that, I want to get rid of it. And I just always liked it. And so anyway, what happened was he came to the house one time and was looking for a hood for a 93 Chevrolet, and which is actually I'll show you the hood. So there's the hood on that 93. I had that hood sitting here, and I don't remember whether the little airplane was on the front of it, or if that's something that Hub put on it. But I remember he asked about it, or asked about a hood, and I said, yeah, I've got one here. And he said, what do you want for it? And of course I had to do it. I said, well, I'll trade you for that grill guard. And he said yes, and it floored me. I couldn't believe it, because I'd been trying for years to get that grill guard. So anyway, I got the grill guard and put it up, and then you know, long story short, I bought the truck from his son, so I got the hood back. And which, you know, I wasn't looking to get the hood back, but I got it back. So anyway, and I'm not sure what that is, if that's 55 Chevrolet maybe, I don't know, I'm not even sure. Little airplane emblem, and that may have been on it, or he may have put that on it. He liked to put stuff on like that, so he probably put it on. But anyway, just wanted to tell you that story. So brand does look new. Clutch does look new. Yeah, we're gonna take this off and check it all out. Alright, let's get the bell housing out. It's a diaphragm clutch too. I don't really care for. I kinda like the 3-finger clutches, but sometimes it's hard to get that stuff nowadays. Alright, let's see what we figure out. So first off, here's the clutch fork and the number. I'm gonna check that just to make sure this is the correct clutch fork for this truck. Now, I'm guessing it is, but we're going to check it either way. This thing looks pretty old. So, these are notorious for giving issues. This whole setup's notorious for giving issues. And they're kind of hard to bleed, because you can't reach up in there and get a hold of this and push in on it. So, usually what I like to do to bleed them is to open the bleeder up, get all the fluid we can get in it, and then force this in by hand, and then close the bleeder. And usually you can get it to push all the air out of it, but a lot of these you can actually buy them pre-bled with the line. I bought it with the line. I don't think it's pre-bled or has the already has the fluid and all in it, but it may. Well, we'll see. But I did buy the clutch master cylinder, slave cylinder, and line all together. Okay folks, so we was getting ready to go back together with this. I found the correct bolts for the bell housing that I needed, because they had the one missing and one was way too long. So anyway, started doing some little work on it to try to make sure everything was right. Decided I'd check up under and see what I run into. Okay, I can see that this clutch is not in backwards. I can see the springs coming into the pressure plate. It don't look as even as it should look. It looks terrible actually. These are higher, and I don't know why. Should be a lot smoother than that. I don't like that, but like I said, I don't like diaphragm clutches anyway. But here's my problem. Here's our shaft. Hopefully you can see that light's killing us. But anyway, my finger is much bigger than that shaft. But when I stick my finger in to the back of the crankshaft, my whole finger slides in, and that tells me that there's a problem, because that hole is not supposed to be that big. So we've absolutely got issues there. And I found a new pilot bushing laying in the truck, in the plastic. So we got to figure that out. So we're going to end up taking the clutch first plate without burn off and seeing what the heck's going on here. I don't like the way that is, and it shouldn't be like that. It should be much more even than that. And they said that it wouldn't, or they couldn't get it to release. So anyway, okay, let's get an impact or something, get this off, and then we'll figure out what's going on, hopefully. And I do have my parts for it. I got my new clutch master cylinder with the new line and the new slave cylinder, and that way we can, and it's already got fluid in it, so it must be the pre-bled unit. Anyway, okay, let's see what we've got going on here. All right. Alright folks, so I come out and grabbed this one, and I done the same thing, and guess what? My finger don't fit in nearly as much as that other one. So I know daggone well there's a problem. Alright, let's get her off. Alright, here's one of them old cheap alignment tools. I don't use them, but I just wanted to use this to show you that this fits on. Not tight, but I mean it just fits on just like it should, like you'd want it to fit. So let's stick this tool up in this back of this engine, and I'll show you. And also I found out why that was off is because there was a bolt missing, and it's not broke off. I thought maybe there'd be one broke off in the flywheel, but that's not the issue. And you can see all the burnt spots. So, and I'm not going to have this turn or have this ground. What I plan to do is I'll take a what I call a biscuit for cleaning up gasket surface, and we'll clean this whole thing up. I don't see any cracks in it or anything. But there you go. That's what they put it back into, because they evidently were too lazy to change the bushing because it's laying in the truck, so I know they had it. And that is the reason I wanted to take this down, because like I said, the people I'm sure that done this was probably not known to be decent mechanics. Not mechanics that would give a crap anyway. I mean, that was the problem. They was probably just trying to get, they probably ended up getting money. They probably didn't even, believe it or not, they probably charged him, and they never finished the job. But the bolt right here was the one that was missing. And that's why that surface wasn't like it should have been. So, and as you can see, the clutch has never been even used. It's brand new. So it's just a shame that you got to do somebody else's job, but at least they didn't put it in backwards. I've seen that before. I know it's crazy, but there's a, there's a concave there, and there's just enough that I guess somebody could put it in backwards and set it in and tighten it up, and when you do, it pulls everything into them bolts, and then it won't release. And that was, they said, was their problem, was it wouldn't release, but I think it was a bleeding issue. But I'm glad I took it apart anyway, because I mean, pilot bushing, that's terrible. That would have probably made it shake and wore the bearing out in the front of the transmission prematurely. And that's first. And then second was bolt missing. There was a bolt missing in the bell housing holding the transmission to it. So we're going to get all this stuff straightened out and taken care of. And I'll clean this up and show you what it looks like when I'm done. I mean, yeah, I should take it off and have it resurfaced, but unfortunately nowadays around here there's nobody to do anything. You can't get, I don't even know a machine shop that does it anymore. And I could do it on the lathe, but most of the time they grind these. They don't turn them on the lathe. But just being hot and burn a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything. We'll get it cleaned off and then start getting it back together. All right, folks. Quick tip on putting your pilot bushing in. On the Chevrolets, use a 9/16 bolt, and just put a little black tape around the bolt. Put your nut on there to stop it, and then knock her in. All right, folks. Flywheel is cleaned up. New pilot bushing in, as you can see. No more moving around of the alignment tool. I mean, that was done just because of pure laziness. And I got a pet peeve about this stuff. If you use one lock washer on one of these bolts going around this flywheel, you need to use them on every bolt. Don't miss any of them, because it actually will throw it out of balance. And definitely, if you don't have all your bolts in it, it's going to throw it out of balance. I mean, it's like, you know, that much of a weight added this far out or taken this far away from the center point, about 6 inches, it's going to make a difference, especially when you get up 2,000 RPM. So some of these bolts, of course there was one missing, but let me see, one. So we had 5 bolts in it, and only 2 of them had lock washers. So, you know, that's complete, and then 1 bolt missing, so that's completely throwing the balance off. So now that we've got that part done, I pulled the line out that went around it, and believe it or not, there was 2 lines there. So evidently someone at one time had replaced that line and then left the old line up there. They probably couldn't get it out. But so for the clutch master cylinder, because what it does on this truck is the clutch master cylinder is on this side, and the line runs around the top and comes down to the passenger side, and the passenger side is where the slave cylinder is at. So next I'm going to bolt on, of course, the clutch pressure plate. We'll get it lined, the alignment tool, get it lined up and in there, and then I'm going to bolt the bell housing to the transmission. We're going to get some grease on this. We'll get some grease on this shaft. I can feel it just as dry as can be. I can't see it where I'm at, but it's definitely going to have to be cleaned up and get some grease on it. But we want this stuff to work smooth. Any little thing you do like that just makes it work so much better. Especially this, you know, because they had issues with these clutches anyway, you know, releasing. And if you have no grease on that and it binds, of course it's going to be harder. You know, the lubrication's king here. But anyway, I guess I think that's about it. I'll go ahead and start getting this thing back together and get it back in, and we'll see how she works out. Alright folks, here's the alignment tool that I like to use. It's sort of a universal, fits everything, or everything I've ever needed to do. I think I made a pilot bushing piece for that little blue tractor I got, that little Ford. I had to make that, and I actually doubled it. So you put one on and then the other one so it'd be long enough. So right there is I guess the smallest one I got. But anyway, so I'll tell you how old this is. It was $7.95 when it was bought. So it wasn't bought yesterday. Alright folks, we're finished. I've just got to take my jack stands out, clean some tools up here, and get the battery in it. We'll see if it's going to move, get it around back where we can pressure wash this thing. Maybe make it look a little bit better. Got tools on here too, but I want to show you this. This is the old slave cylinder, clutch master cylinder. You can see they had a nail running through it. Ain't that special? And then on this end, of course, this is where the compression fittings were, but if you see, it's leaking just from sitting out the end of it. This is supposed to swivel, so I'm sure the whole issue probably was this. And we didn't really pull the transmission and clutch back out for no reason. Finding that bolt missing, the lock washers missing, and needing to replace that pilot bushing was, you know, it's a pretty big deal. To me it is anyway. So we got that taken care of, got everything greased good and oiled good, and I think everything should be fine. Drive shafts back in, tighten down cross member. Was able to put some decent bolts in stuff where they didn't have no bolts. And I mean, there was bolts that was started that wasn't even tight, that, you know, you'd think they'd be missing or something, but they wasn't. They just wasn't tight. So anyway, so now it's time to see how we done. Look at Nana was under there. Nana, what are you doing? She was under there inspecting. Oh, she's going higher and higher. Got tires up there. And unfortunately, the guy I bought it from sort of slipped them tires in on me where, you know, I have to get rid of them. So, Nana, what are you doing? What are you drinking water out of that nasty thing for? Nana, now you got clean water, and you prefer that old nasty stuff. You just don't make no sense. You're not making no sense, Nana. So anyway. Alright, well, we'll get this thing down and them jack stands out, see what happens. Alright, here goes nothing. Clutch in. Oh, reverse. Oh, nice. Feels like we might have some sticking brakes too. Darn that low. I see nothing out of that passenger mirror. Not a thing. Oh, she moves good. I like it. Oh yeah. Running good, working good. Got some gauges and wiring to take care of, but oil pressure. It's weird. Bouncing up and down works part of the time. Gas gauge, that's all new, but it don't. I don't know. I thought I put more in it than that. Well. Alright folks, I don't know if it's because I'm driving with a flat tire or maybe even a couple flat tires. Both of them look pretty darn low. Oh, I think I got all the flat tires. No wonder it feels like the brakes are sticking. So when you let off of it, it stops pretty quick. So yeah, they're both flat. So it's just flat tires holding the weight up. But anyway, we'll get some air in them, and we'll. I'm going to pressure wash this thing, see what it looks like, and then we're going to. We'll take it down the road for a test drive in the next video. But for now, all our clutch and transmission stuff's done, and everything on the clutch and stuff's going to be fine now. And I think we got everything covered on making sure that we don't have any major issues with it, or we're gonna no major issues in the future. All the bolts are in, everything's tight, all the specs, everything's good. There's no jumping or nothing. The transmission, it's just shifting just perfect. And at idle, when we started this thing the first time with it in neutral, I could see the shifter bouncing, and something wasn't right. And I think it's going to be between the pilot bushing completely wore out and the shaft bouncing in there, and the fact that the bolts wasn't in it helped, you know, vibrate. So we're good now. So all right, appreciate everybody watching, and until next time, bye.